Nova had a rule about her corkboard. Only things that were beautiful for exactly 3 seconds and then gone. Light, petals, empty corners, things that didn't stay. She raised her head, looking at that photograph longer than she usually looked at anything. She wasn't sure when she had started breaking her own rule. Her phone buzzed. The message said, "It's Rose from the Strawberries. Don't ask how I got your number. Actually, ask Mrs. Adeyemi from the flower stall. Anyway, are you doing anything today?" Nova read it twice, then looked at her corkboard, then looked at her phone again. She was not, as a rule, free on Saturdays. She had just decided to be. Rose lived on Crescent Street, which Nova had walked past approximately 40 times without ever actually walking down. It was the kind of street that felt like it belonged to someone else's life. Louder, warmer, more color in the window boxes, more noise coming from the surrounding area. She photographed a red door, a cat who looked like it had opinions, a very old bicycle leaning against a fence that had clearly not moved since sometime in the previous decade. Number 14 had a pink doormat and a sunflower by the front step that was leaning slightly to the left, toward the sun. Nova noticed this. She was raising her hand to knock when the door opened before she could. Rose was already holding 2 mugs, which meant she had been listening for footsteps and had been waiting.
You photographed 3 things on the way here, didn't you? 4. Come in.
The room was everything Nova's was not. It was the opposite of her room in every measurable way, and yet somehow it made complete sense. Like the 2 rooms were pages from the same book, just written in completely different handwriting. She photographed the headbands, the trophy catching afternoon light, the soccer ball sitting by the door like it was waiting for something. Rose watched all of this without saying a word, which for Rose was extraordinary. Rose had never needed much of an invitation to perform. The moment she realized she was being photographed, she became, somehow, even more herself, which Nova had not thought was physically possible. Nova had photographed a lot of things. Flowers that lasted 3 seconds, light that moved across a wall, empty corners where something had just been. She had never photographed a person who was this comfortable being looked at. Most people changed when a camera appeared. They stiffened or smiled too wide or became a version of themselves they thought looked better. Rose just became more Rose. Then she saw the photograph. Nobody had ever photographed Rose like that before. Not performing, not posing, just there. Nova said it was her photo. Rose said it was her face. They looked at each other for a moment, the specific kind of moment where both people know exactly how it is going to end. Nova would later tell herself she didn't know why she let Rose keep it. This would be a lie, and she would know it was a lie, and she would make her tea and not think about it any further. Rose made lunch the same way she did everything else, with complete confidence and no particular plan. The sandwiches were enormous. They contained ingredients that had no business being in the same postcode as each other. Nova's had 3 layers and something green she could not immediately identify. She ate it anyway. It was, against all visual evidence, delicious. Rose talked the way some people breathe, continuously, naturally, without apparent effort. Nova had always found silence easier than conversation. She was discovering, to her own surprise, that listening to Rose talk did not feel like conversation at all. It felt more like sitting next to a radio you hadn't realized you'd want it on. There are people who make you feel like the room has more oxygen in it. Nova had read about this. She had assumed, reasonably, that it was a metaphor. It was not a metaphor. After lunch, Rose took her outside to show her something. This was how Rose described it. Something. Nova would later use the word nothing. The first attempt was not successful. Neither was the second. The third attempt hit her. Nova photographed the hit. Rose told her not to. Nova got it anyway because it was, she said, a good 3 seconds. Rose threw a blade of grass at her in response. Nova caught it, looked at it, and then photographed that too. "You are so strange," Rose said. "You invited me here," Nova said. "Best decision I've made all week," said Rose. By the time Nova stood at the front door of Aleve, she had taken 11 photographs. Rose had kept 2 of them, the laughing one on the mirror, and one of her soccer ball that she said she wanted to remember it by before it finally gave up entirely. Nova stood on the pink doormat with her camera around her neck and her afternoon tucked under her arm in small white rectangles, and she could not entirely explain what had happened today, except that it had been, and this was not a word she used lightly or often, good. Rose leaned against the door frame the way she did everything, fully, without holding anything back. She looked at Nova like she was already looking forward to next time, like next time was already decided, like this was just what happened now. On the way to Rose's house, Nova had photographed 4 things. On the way home, she photographed 0. Not because nothing was beautiful, the red door was still red, the cat was still on the wall, the old bicycle was still leaning at exactly the same angle, but because sometimes you see something and you want to keep it for yourself for a while. No frame, no white border, no paper. She turned onto her own street and stopped for a moment, looked back in the direction of Crescent Street, which she could not see from here but knew was there. Then she raised her camera and photographed her own front door, which she had never done before and which she could not entirely explain. The Polaroid developed slowly, her front door, the same door she had walked through every day for 3 years, looking somehow like somewhere worth coming back to. Photo number 2, a door that feels different to come back to, blue and pink, quiet and loud, still and spinning. To be continued. Congrats on reaching the end. More of Nova and Rose is coming, and make sure to check out episode 1. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a frame.